Viewer discretion is advised.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Unhinged podcast, where right now you're listening to it, which means you have better chance of listening to a great podcast than getting the coronavirus. I'm Jay Dash, the host of the Unhinged podcast, and welcome to Friday's episode, predictions, and other random conversations here on lovely XFL Newsroom. Of course, my partner in crime, Carlos.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is your part man, part machine, all podcaster, Carlos. How's it going? Happy Friday. Hope you're all as excited for this weekend as we are, because we got some great lineups on this weekend. But before we get the show going, as always, got to do a few plugs. Make sure to check out 503 Sports for some awesome old school XFL gear. Make sure to follow XFL Newsroom. And if you feel like supporting this show, you can go to Anchor, click on XFL Unhinged, and you'll see it right there. And you can help support us by throwing us a couple of bucks if you can. And anyway, on with the show, James. Thinking maybe we should start off with the LA Wildcats and the New York Guardians. It's probably the first game of the day, or, well, the weekend.
Well, it's the first game of the weekend, and it's also news broke about an hour ago on Thursday evening, which is when we're recording today's podcast, that Trash Can is not going to be playing in the game against the LA Wildcats, which is a very big news for New York, because finally they might actually have a recycling bin in the field, except for a trash can. And if they do have Luis Perez, they have their hopes of their season on the line then.
Might be able to revive the whole entire season, hopefully.
Probably.
But can anybody do it? Is the confidence of the team just so far down in the dirt that they won't be able to pick themselves back up? Because it's looking like that right now.
Yeah, I'm almost leaning that way. Honestly, it's LA over the last couple of games has slowly found themselves. Honestly, they looked pretty good the first quarter of the first week of the season against Houston. Yeah, them and Dallas kind of, bumped heads a couple times in week 2. And week 3, last week, we saw what they did to DC.
Ow, that hurt.
The question is can they continue it, going across the country, flying across the country, going to New York to take on the Guardians? And from seeing the Guardians play, I don't think all their problems are the quarterback. I don't think McGloin is the main reason.
He's a big part of it, but not the whole thing.
He's a huge part of it, but he's not the main part of it. That's the main reason, in my opinion. I just think their wide receiver core is lacking with Joe Horn and Malachi Mackay. There's just something about that offense that doesn't
gel.
Doesn't gel.
There's been a lot of drop passes, bad blocking. I feel like their defense is trying. There have been times where they set them up with decent field position, but overall, there seems to be a major problem with the offense, like all around. What do you think they could do to fix that?
Learning how to just stay within your own game plan, honestly. Because what the Guardians are looking like right now, to me, is a clear resemblance of the 2018 Jacksonville Jaguars. A top 5 defense and a god-awful offense because you didn't know who your quarterback was. That's what they're starting to look like to me. New York does have a good defense. Against St. Louis, they made a lot of good plays. The problem is when your offense is not getting positive yards, if your offense is not scoring points or at least moving the field position battle, in your favor, you're going to leave teams with short fields, and that I don't care what type of defense you have. You give a team that only needs 20 yards to score a touchdown, or you don't get a field goal, you're pretty much surrendering points right then and there. The issue for New York, in my opinion, is their offense. Their offense hasn't shown anything. Yeah, they beat Tampa Bay. That's another question right there. But honestly, maybe the quarterback change is for the good. The only reason why Trash Can's not starting is because of a hip. If you listen, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday's podcast, you can tell that I don't believe it's the hip. I just think his ego got hurt, and that's the reason why he's on the sideline now. But if I had to pick this game, I would have to side with the Los Angeles Wildcats. I think Josh Johnson is having a comeback. I think Josh Johnson here in a couple of weeks, maybe by week 6 or week 7, he's going to be in the conversation of MVP if he continues the same type of performance he did against DC. And remember, DC has a solid defense, and he did that against DC's defense. But I just don't – the two teams that kick off week 4 are going opposite directions, and I like L.A. all over New York.
Well, if I was a betting man, I would probably have to go with LA as well. I mean, they are 7.5-point favorites at this time of this recording. And typically, anytime you have anything that's over 5, I'm going to take that. I'd say that Nelson Spruce is going to play very well, as usual. Elijah Hood's going to get back on track for LA. And it's just going to be too much for New York, because they're not going to be able to move the ball unless Luis Perez is going to be the savior. Now, his numbers were decent, 4 out of 5 passes for a touchdown. Completion percentage is high, and he got a score. So, that's a nice sign of things to come. But that was like garbage time. The game is clearly at an end. Let's just see what this guy has. I don't understand why New York has waited so long to give this guy a chance to play. It's just kind of mind-boggling. Kevin Gilbride, as much as I love the guy, I've been seeing him coach almost all my life. I remember him going back all the way to the Houston Oilers. But it just seems like there's a major disconnect between what he's trying to get done and what the team is actually executing on the field. So, yep, got to go with LA. That's a pretty big point spread. But on to the next one, on to Cincinnati, as your boy Belichick would say. Seattle Dragons and St. Louis Battlehawks. This has got a huge point favorite in the Battlehawks direction. The Battlehawks are 12-point favorites. That's insane. I can't believe they have it that high, because I don't think the Dragons are that bad. I know they've had their issues, but damn, what do you think, James?
Point spread, in my opinion, is a little too high. I like St. Louis, but if I'm betting for this game and this game alone, I'm saying I take Seattle in the points, but still have St. Louis winning. I've been hearing rumors, been reading tweets from high up people in the XFL. Seems like B.J. Daniels for the Dragons is going to see a lot of playing time this week. So we might be seeing a transition of quarterbacks in Seattle between Brandon Silvers and B.J. Daniels. That might help. But Seattle, in my opinion, yes, they're 1-2, but they're not the worst 1-2 team in the league. If Seattle took on the Dragons right now, I don't know, they are the Dragons, whatever. If Seattle was taking on New York right now, yeah, Seattle will beat the Guardians to submission. They've already played Tampa Bay. We saw the result for Tampa Bay. Seattle, the only disadvantage of this game against St. Louis is Seattle's turnover prone. They always, when Silvers is out there, he throws either 2 to 3 interceptions a game. And just like last week's game in St. Louis between New York and St. Louis, you give that St. Louis offense short field and Jordan Tiamo a short field, they're going to capitalize. Especially the fans there. They may not get nearly 30,000 like they did last week. They could get about maybe 25. Still a hell of a number.
No, I think the numbers are going to stay high. St. Louis has embraced that team like none other. I really think that it's going to stay just as high.
That's hopefully you're right. Honestly, that will just make a good image on the XFL, especially coming into a very interesting month of March, which is considered March Madness, and we know what happens during that time of the year. But let's get back to this game. right now, St. Louis is very injury prone, in my opinion. Uh, you had a couple of receivers out. I know Matt Jones has been limited. Uh, he's been questionable, limited, but nothing major. But as well, you're week 3 into the season. I don't care what team you are, what sports league you play in. If you play this game of football, you're going to get injuries, and usually the teams who can make adjustments better, like adjusting certain running backs or certain position players to play different positions, because the lack of depth, because of injuries, those teams are usually the ones that are in the conversation at the end of the year, making the playoffs or in the playoffs or hosting the division title or trophy. But we look at this game between Seattle and St. Louis. Both teams are heavily beat up. Not heavily. Heavily.
Heavily. I would say that Seattle actually definitely has more injuries than St. Louis. St. Louis, they got 4 players injured. Meanwhile, you got Seattle with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They got 9 players that are injured right now. So I think that actually St. Louis, as long as they got Matt Jones who's healthy, I think they'll be all right. But he actually did not participate in practice this week, so that's definitely raising a bit of an alarm. But it's not unheard of for a player to miss practice and then still play that same week. So we'll see.
Yeah, so you could say it's the battle between the injury bug teams. But right now, being betting man, like we stated before, I take Seattle on the points, but I can't, I can't say they can't win that game. I just think St. Louis has something going on in St. Louis, and I think that fan base is going to be crazy, and I think they start off the season 3-1, which a lot of people didn't expect them to. And 3-1 at this point in the season with the currently number 1 seed in the East based on tiebreakers. St. Louis has a chance to make the Dome a very hostile environment and a place where you don't want to go play come in the later weeks of March and in April, especially in the postseason.
Well, I got to go with the BattleHawks as well. But I think I would take the Seattle points for sure. 12.5, that's insane. The 3-headed running back committee of Seattle is definitely going to probably do its job. But actually, I take that back. There's probably more the receiving corps is going to be more responsible for it because the run game has been pretty inconsistent. It's kind of a toss-up right now. I think this game is going to be a hell of a lot closer than the experts are predicting. But yeah, just got to go with the BattleHawks because that home field advantage by itself, I think, is going to be at least a 3 to 6 point advantage by itself. So yeah, got to go with BattleHawks. Probably going to do their job. But is BJ going to come out of the backup category and actually start for Brandon Silvers? I think that's going to be the big story for Seattle.
Yeah, but that's if there's an announcement for them. There's just
what if Silvers plays badly and they decide to bench him for BJ? I think there's a good chance that could happen.
Yeah, I can see that happening more than BJ being announced a starter.
Yeah, well, you never know. Last minute decisions could possibly happen. Maybe throw the other team a hook where it's like, oh, we're going to be starting this guy. You don't have very many videos to look up on him to try to figure him out. So
we'll know by tomorrow or later on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Or later today.
Depending when this is released.
Correct.
But anyway, Houston Roughnecks at the Dallas Renegades. Who you got?
This is the hardest game to pick because it's the battle between the Western teams. And 2 teams that a lot of XFL experts think are going to be the last 2 teams standing in the West come postseason time. The Dallas Renegades have won back-to-back games regularly, pretty much, you could say. Kind of, okay, we're going to ink this game out. We're going to, claw our way to a 5-point victory, 6-point victory. But one thing I've noticed from Dallas the last 2 weeks, is Landry Jones' ability to get his tight end to the game. And if Landry Jones gets that connection again with his tight ends, especially Pullman? Yeah, Pullman.
Parham, Donald Parham.
Parham. Where did I get Pullman from? I think that's another guy. Anyways.
Bill Pullman.
Yeah, good point.
Always confused with Bill Paxton, but I digress.
It's game over, man. Game over. But Dallas is taking on the best team in the league. Dallas is taking on a team that escaped out of Tampa. A lot of people will be picking Houston in this game because Houston has Phillip Walker. Houston has an explosive offense. But the reason why I'm not picking Houston is because the game is in Dallas. And I do think over the last 2 weeks, Landry Jones has shown the ability that he can lead his team when the tough get going. Now, this is the first game back in Dallas after the opening week loss to St. Louis. And it'd be a good way to kick up a Texas rivalry, as you can say, with the team that you don't think is supposed to win gets the W. Now, am I saying that this is going to be the reason why Dallas wins and starts going on a winning streak to win the West? No.
Yes. Oh,
no.
sorry.
No. I just think Dallas will be more up for this game. They're going to be back home in their own building. They're going to make plays. Dallas has a good defense. And now we're going to see Houston actually face a team in their division that can go head-to-head with them with talent. It's going to come down to Phillip Walker and Landry Jones. And on the other side, it's going to come down to Badette or Ferguson against Cam Phillips and Sammy Coates. I do believe this is a high-scoring game. What was the line of the game again?
1 point in favor of Houston. It's very close. Like, that's a game you don't really want to put money on.
Yeah. Give me Dallas in this one in a XFL-style shootout, meaning 33-35 type of situation. And I think this game will come all the way down to the very end, like what last couple of Houston games have been and what all the Dallas games have been, all the way down to the very end. So give me the Renegades in a upset of the week.
Man, I got to go with Houston. I think that pass rush is going to be too much for Landry Jones to deal with. I don't think that Landry Jones' receiver core is as good as Houston's. 15 players have put at least 7 pressures on the quarterback this season for Houston, including Burnett, Lewis, Ailey, and Wright. Like, I think it's just going to be a little bit too much for him. But one thing that could very much be in the favor of Landry is his release time. Apparently, if I read correctly, it said that he had the second fastest release time in the league. So that might be able to save his butt. But for how long? Eventually, they're going to start hitting him, and I think it's going to pay dividends. I think that Houston will probably win by a touchdown. I don't agree with this 1 point favoritism for the Roughnecks. I think that it should be bigger. But one thing that I will say about Dallas when it comes to home field advantage, I don't think that you can quite compare it to something like St. Louis or Seattle, because I don't think that Dallas was as excited for the team as many people expected. Now, maybe they are, because they're 2-1. They finally have a winning record. And Dallas, just as much as Washington, wants a winner. And it's so difficult to get that these days, even though the Cowboys have been to the playoffs a few times in the last few years. But they've been nowhere near as consistent as they were in the 90s. So they're just as thirsty as Skins fans are. And I think that might actually start getting them to the games. But we're going to find out one way or the other. But I got to go with Houston. P.J. Walker will continue to bomb the ball out. That defense is going to be all over Landry. And they're probably going to win by 7 points, 6 or 7 points. You got anything else to add to that game?
No. You're just different than me. That's good.
Damn right.
We're not agreeing on everything. So that's what you want to do with predictions and, previewing any type of games.
So I guess this brings us to DC Defenders and the Tampa Bay Vipers. Last game of the day. Or, well, the weekend, actually.
Yeah, the weekend. As you know, the Defenders are coming off of a big time loss in LA.
Embarrassment.
Traveling back all the way to the East Coast, then flying down to Tampa. A nice 3.5-hour flight if you ever took that flight before. But what does this game entail? Well, you got Taylor Cornelius pitching here. Yeah.
Baseball is close, but ain't
baseball's here, baby. Yeah. You got Taylor Cornelius starting at quarterback for the Vipers against Cardell Jones. Cardell Jones finally lost a game as a starting quarterback in his career. Not just professional career, his career
collegiate,
of playing the game. Which says a lot. But what's going on in Tampa? Quentin Flowers today, or on Thursday when this show is being recorded, requested his release from the Tampa Bay Vipers.
Well, was it really a release? I thought that they had said that it was a leave of absence.
You want me to give you a quick translation to that?
Maybe something happened in his family and he had to back out.
Yeah, okay. The quick translation of that is that he quit the team.
Did he say that he quit? Did he put up anything on Twitter, Instagram, anything like that to confirm this?
No, but how... Excuse me. Wow.
Big yawn. Dead air time. La, 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 la. Okay, continue. Trying to do what I can to fill the dead air there.
That's nice. Yeah, but the blow to Quentin Flowers means that the Tampa Bay Vipers are down to just 2 quarterbacks on the roster, with Aaron Murray still not at 100%. I don't think he's been cleared yet to play. But it's just something that Tampa Bay finally gets something going, then something happens. Like a player leaves, or one side of the ball doesn't perform up to its ability, and the defense has to try and make plays, like in week 1. And in week 2, the offense actually played pretty well, and the defense couldn't get any key stop to win that game. So you come in here to week 3 or week 4 against DC, a DC team that just got embarrassed on the road in LA. DC's going to come into this game looking for revenge. It's going to be beautiful down in Tampa. The weather, I think, is going to be like in the high 50s, low 60s.
Beautiful.
And no matter what happens to Tampa with their quarterback situation, no matter who they have under center come game day, I just don't see a Tampa Bay team moving the ball up and down the field against the Defenders in this game. Maybe I could be wrong. Then again, we were wrong last week about how Tampa Bay was going to struggle against the Houston Roughnecks. But in this case, I honestly think Tampa Bay has literally go one-dimensional with Devon Smith and Jacques Patrick and run the football and try and continue to run the football. But for DC sake, Cardell Jones needs to play a little better game. Yes, an interception is not going to hurt you that much, but don't throw interception every time you pass. So.
Yeah. We know. It was rough. I actually, if it wasn't for Quentin Flowers actually leaving, because Mark Trestman's offense is a 2-quarterback offense, which has typically been shown in history to not really work out. So it's nuts, but it's how that offense functions. And last week we saw how well it could against Houston, which has a very ferocious defense, and they played quite well. I would actually have been leaning towards Tampa this weekend, because getting punched in the mouth like DC did is a very hard thing to recover from. And the fact that Tampa Bay was rolling high with the 2 quarterback systems, nearly winning that game, should have given them that, continuous momentum into the next week. But with Quentin Flowers backing out, what is typically a 2-quarterback offense is now hobbled to 1. And it's designed for Quentin Flowers to be in there. Either that or Aaron Murray and Cornelius, because Cornelius and Flowers are both quite mobile. But without Flowers in there and Aaron Murray hurt, I think that's really going to, like you said, make the Tampa Bay Vipers more one-dimensional, and that is really going to hurt them. So, yeah, kind of got to go with DC on this one, but at the same time, even if they are one-dimensional, maybe that will be enough for Tampa Bay to get past DC, which could very well be on a spiral downwards because, like I said, sometimes you get hit real hard in the mouth like that, and your team begins to unravel like a ball of yarn. Like, that could very well happen. So, for now, yeah, I got to lean slightly towards DC. I'd say like 3.5, 4.5 point favorites. But apparently right now they are 2.5 point favorites. So Vegas seems to be leaning towards the defenders, and so will I. So what else you got there? What are you doing, my man?
No, I was just listening and I was debating should I come back with another comment, but I didn't want to bury DC like I buried trash can up in New York. But what is?
Let me hang in there for a moment. What the hell?
Yeah, sometimes I can let you hang it, but week 4 is coming up. Week 3, week 2, the previous 3 weeks have completed. And now so far, we've had players like PJ Walker that's performed out of his mind. Cam Phillips of Houston has come out of nowhere.
Steven Johnson playing excellent defense.
Yes. We've had certain individuals that have stood out. And with that comes, fan support from, average people like us, just average Joes, to kids who start following these teams because it's like they think it's a cool thing to do.
Just like we did back in 2001.
Yep.
The new generation.
To 30-year-old adults who are now just finding the league itself. But many of you are wondering, where am I going with this? And this is the reason why I let this monologue come to the very end of the show besides the start of the show. Over the last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of months, over our social media airways, just not from our Twitter page, but from other Twitter accounts, other fan bases, I've noticed a lot of hatred towards XFL fans. It's very interesting that we as XFL fans who promote this league, trying to give out the real information to the people who are trying to get into the league, some of the best, insights about the XFL. I find it kind of cowardly that some of the biggest issues that we have today in modern society, especially here in the United States and across the world, of bullying, you can say, bullying and cyberbullying are issues that are just not related to the XFL, but to other issues. But what's strange is that we see a lot of fans who are big-time XFL fans. We have a couple of guys on our Discord that have expressed this type of sentiment to members of the page, and I've seen it on the other social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, of non-XFL fans calling out the XFL for not just being just like, that's just a football league, but literally making fun of XFL fans because they're supporting the XFL, basically bullying them to a point on social media of being, the reason why you're liking the XFL is because you're a lesser individual, that type of stuff. And what's sad is, I understand if it's like a 15-year-old kid doing it to a 15-year-old kid, they don't know better. It's, they're still young. But when I see 35-year-old men, 45-year-old men saying these comments to 16-year-old kids who have a podcast, or 16-year-old kids in high school, and making the same type of comments, but yet you see them tweet stuff out a couple of days later about we need to stop bullying in school, which really, gets me going. It's like, wait a minute. So it's not bullying if it's about a sports league, or you think that certain league or a certain event or a certain society or program or individual is lesser than you, it doesn't mean that's bullying. But if you are the individual who is, part of bullying an individual for supporting a league or supporting the program or an event, you are exactly displaying what a lot of XFL fans have been fighting for the last 2 years. Is we're trying to fight that narrative about what the XFL is about. And yes, Pro Football Talk is a great example. But the reason why I brought this up is because I saw a lot of people on Twitter defending a couple of kids about, hey, don't back down, wear your shirts in pride, keep doing your podcast, like giving the guy motivation, which is understandable. But to put this in perspective to the XFL itself, I know I'm not no counselor. I'm not no guru of sorts. I'm not going to tell you to go do something stupid. But sometimes it's to a lesser degree. There's a better chance you can end the bullying from the start. There's been research done that confrontations after the first incident usually end bullying approaches. But cyberbullying is completely different. I just look at this as like, we're in 2020. The XFL is a new league. Why I don't see this for the ECHL or the IHL, which are the two minor leagues of the NHL, or the Southern Baseball League, or the International Baseball League, which are the minor leagues of MLB. Why I don't see the same type of hatred towards those fans that support those leagues? You know why? There is none. But I see all the hatred towards a lot of XFL fans. It's like, oh, you support the XFL. Oh, you must have no life. Oh, you're a 16-year-old kid and you're supporting the XFL and you live in St. Louis. I wonder why the team left. It's just sickening that I see other kids who are not informed about the league, or adults who are in their 30s attacking such individuals because they're too much pride because they think it's just the NFL and that's it. It's stupid. I know bullying's and cyberbullying is going a little bit beyond, but what is it really? If you're a 35-year-old man or a 40-year-old man or a 27-year-old man and you're attacking a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old kid who is supporting an XFL team for supporting a loser league, then you constantly make fun of him because this individual either is wearing XFL gear or is supporting the XFL in somewhere. That is bullying. You don't know that, right, people? That's considered bullying this day and age. And I just don't understand how I've seen more XFL fans getting this treatment compared to other fans from other sporting leagues that are not the major leagues. I'm talking about all the minor leagues. And I find it kind of like there is this, not sentiment, but there's just this kind of narrative that's out there that people who support the XFL are a bunch of, I know I'm going to get a little political here, but I know Carlos here will agree with me. The narrative at the beginning of the XFL was the XFL fans are a bunch of right-wing, gun-holding, Republican Trump supporters. Remember that from last year, Carlos? We were labeled that?
Yep, I do recall that because the connections between Vince McMahon and Donald Trump were what caused that. And, of course, the whole Kaepernick kneeling thing was still quite prevalent. Exactly. So a lot of people were thinking, oh, they're not going to allow people to kneel and whatnot. And it's been quite the contrary to that. It seems like players can do more or less whatever the hell they want. But, I can relate to this because being a wrestling fan, I grew up with a lot of that, man. I read comic books as well, which was kind of looked down upon. So yeah, I can definitely relate to what a lot of people have been going through. Like, oh, you're enjoying the XFL. Yeah, that's a whatever league, you're wasting your time with it. And I went through that as well. I'd wear my LA Extreme jersey in school. People are like, LA Extreme, what the hell is that? I'm like, it's the XFL team. And they're like, XFL, psh. And I just pretty much get shit on.
Yeah,
So
but
I can
bullying
very
back
much.
when we were kids was completely different to what it is now.
I don't know. In my opinion, bullying never really changes all that much. Bullying is bullying. If it's something that's considered like not cool, people are going to get fucking made fun of for it. I'm not saying that it should be that way,
Yeah.
but I just kind of feel like it's one of those inevitable things that is just in the DNA of humanity. And it could be for a lot worse reasons out there. Like, say you're poor, got to get your clothes from Salvation Army. Like, people get joned on for that, and it's unfortunate. It sucks ass, and for people to be just jumping on, younger fan bases for enjoying a football league that they've just been exposed to, just seems very, very stupid and juvenile. I don't know why the hell that's going on, but the best you can do to try to, stop that is if you see something like that going on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, stick up for that person. Make that other person realize that what they're doing isn't right, Just do everything that you can, but it is unfortunate that. Yeah, you can report it too if that does anything. I mean, I've never reported anybody, but there have been times where I'm seeing something just fucked up going on Twitter, and I'll be like, "Yo, man, don't do that. That's not right." Sometimes they tell me to go fuck myself. Sometimes they feel bad about it. So, 50-50 chance. But if you see that happening, do whatever you can to just not let it happen. Yeah. But it is, it's kind of inevitable. It's always going to be there, no matter what kind of fan you are of anything. There's a lot of Twilight fans out there, and there's just as many haters. So take it for what it is.
Just one thing for that is if you see, like on our Discord, we don't have it. Luckily, we have a great community here at XFL Newsroom Discord. Our little podcast here, me and Carlos, you never heard of it. XFL Unhinged, that's our podcast. You know that, right?
I would kind of figure at this point, we've said it quite a bit.
We want to make it known that if you guys have any questions, you need to talk to people, just send us DMs. We will talk to you if you need support. That's one thing that I really am passionate about is helping the community with their issues. I'm not going to do it financially, but if you need, some guidance, yes, I'm a 35-year-old male. I've seen some shit, not a lot of shit, but I've seen some shit. So if you want to come, hey, J-Dash, what's this, and this, and I can help you. I was just like, hey, I've been through high school. I've been through middle school. I've been through college. I know the drama and the situations that build up. There are a lot of roadways that go down besides the one you think is the only way to go. So if you need some guidance, give us a call, give us a message, and we'll talk about it. But we got to stop this online bullying crap for freaking sports leagues. And matter of fact, online bullying, period. Because we've already know what you get on Facebook right now. And what are the main couple things you see on Facebook? The NFL Combine, President Trump, and the coronavirus. Those are the three damn things that you see all the time on Facebook. And that does get a very irritating pretty irritating / normal. I hardly get on social media now, besides the XFL Unhinged Twitterverse. Besides from that, be decent, people. Don't start shit over sporting leagues. Really, that's first world problems right there. Just gotta say, that's first world problems. But yeah.
I think that brings our show to an end. Otherwise, we're going to be here for like another hour talking and rambling.
Chapter 2.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was only chapter 1?
Yeah, that was chapter 2. On chapter 2, that would be next Tuesday night when we come back and talk about week 4 results. Next week is halfway point of the 2020 season. We're going to call next week's episode, Monday's episode, or especially the 2 episodes next week, Separation Sunday or Separation Weekend, because this is where we'll start seeing the top 4 teams start making their separation from the pack. So besides from that,
Remember, guys, before we go, got to officially close it out. If you want to get some cool, kick-ass, old-school XFL gear, make sure to go to 503sports.com. Make sure to type in Unhinged at the checkout line to get 10% off the gear. Make sure to follow XFL Newsroom. And if you want to help us out, throw us a couple of bucks to help produce the show, go down to Anchor, look up XFL Unhinged on Anchor, and you will have an option to throw us a couple of bucks if you feel like it. And as always, this show will be free. We hope you enjoyed us. And James, you want to close it out?
Yes, I'm going to close it out with a special announcement. Coming up in March is March Madness. Yes, 6 to 8 team tournament. If you guys are interested in joining the XFL Unhinged podcast tournament bracket challenge, send us a DM and come join the league. Just for fun. There's nothing to win. Just going to see who knows their college basketball, and it'll be something else that we can interact with as a community. Besides from that, I am Jay Dash, the host of the Unhinged podcast. That is Carlos, the rest movie guy. You guys enjoy your weekend. Go watch your football with your family and friends. Be safe. Drink responsibly. Drink responsible, not responsibility. What a way to ruin the show.
My responsibility is to drink.
Don't get drunk too much or whatever. I might have an IV of alcohol into me pretty soon. Besides from that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you Tuesday.
Peace.